Hello everyone, today is 16th of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita where the value of detachment has been explained. Now, it has been said that detachment is not that you own nothing. Rather, detachment is that nothing owns you. Now, guys, when we talk about the ethics provided by the Bhagavad Gita has emphasized onto the one value that is the duty for the sake of duty. And Bhagavad Gita provides that the actor needs to detach from the action. So, complete selfless activity is to be done. And that thing can only be possible when the person is driven by the value of detachment, which can be compared to absolute liberation, where you are not driven by fear or favor because you have a notion that nothing has a control over you, nothing owns you. Now, particularly, guys, when we talk about the foundational values of the civil servants, detachment becomes a very important value, and therefore it can be utilized into your GS paper number 4, ethics, into the topic number 4, that is the aptitude and foundational value of the civil servants. Now, guys, taking up the first article. So, this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper and it pertains to a very important aspect, that is the conflict of interest. And the conflict of interest is an important topic under our GS paper number 4, that is ethics. Now, guys, first of all, let's understand that what this basic issue is all about, and then we will be connecting it with ethics. Now, guys, here we can see the example of the justice into the Delhi High Court, that is the Justice Pratibha Singh. Now, she was about to hear a particular case in regard to the WhatsApp's privacy policy that has been updated recently. Now, guys, we have covered it earlier extensively into our newspaper analysis, where we have seen that now WhatsApp is coming out with a policy where they are saying that openly they will be sharing all the data here with their parent firm Facebook. Now, guys, it will be sharing your activity that you have done, it will be sharing the time you spent, the battery, the signal, all such kind of things. However, private chats will not be shared. Fine. So all such kind of thing was going on. Now, guys, it says that such sharing by the WhatsApp, it violates the user's right to privacy. And guys, as this new update has been floated, there is no choice to not to share data with the Facebook and all such kind of things. Now, guys, we have seen that if we see today, a kind of a binary has been created where either you use WhatsApp, and if you want to exit, there is no viable alternative. Though there are other apps such as Signal, Telegram, etc., but the user base of them is nowhere comparable to the WhatsApp. So simply exiting out of WhatsApp is also not a position. So what the tech are doing, they are exploiting their dominant position, and this particular thing was appealed into the court that the WhatsApp's privacy policy update is violative. Now, guys, this particular matter was to be heard by the Justice Pratibha Singh. Now, guys, as it was discovered by her that earlier when she was practicing as a lawyer, she has appeared into a particular matter which was connected to the WhatsApp. So, into this particular circumstance, if she now hears the matter, it will be the conflict of interest. Now, guys, what conflict of interest means? So it is simply that your interest into two different capacity, it collides with each other. For example, guys, suppose with one person you are having a kind of a private relation, and now into the public capacity you have to deal with this particular person, so you will not be completely objective. Some relations or some values of your private life will come here, and therefore your decision will not be completely fair. So this is the conflict of interest, where some relation into the private capacity can collide with you when you are sitting into the public capacity. Or there could also be another situation where you have earlier acted into the public capacity, but at that point of time motivation was different. Today also you have to act only into the public capacity, but today the motivation is different. So here also the decision will not be completely unbiased. So this is the conflict of interest and the challenges which comes with the conflict of interest. Now, guys, there could be three types of conflict of interest. That is the actual conflict of interest, where the person is right now actually acting into a capacity where these two interests are colliding. Then, guys, there could be the apparent conflict of interest. It means that the person acted into one particular capacity where it is believed that he might have influenced by the conflict of interest. Just let's take an example. Suppose, guys, there is Mr. A. he is a judge and he is listening a particular matter into which Mr. B is charged, and Mr. B is the relative of a judge. Now the judge has given it matter. Now the judge has actually acted as per 100% onto the basis of evidences and facts, but it turned out that actually Mr. B was innocent, and judge was, guys, actually here did not got influenced by the relation, but he completely acted onto the fact. But outside people will find that no, it could not be the case. Actually the judge would have got influenced. So this assumption that the conflict of interest had happened, it is the apparent conflict of interest. Then, guys, comes the potential conflict of interest. Potential conflict of interest means that today you are into a particular capacity and you are given a duty. Now as you have studied the duty that has been given to you, you found that if you go forward with this particular duty, you have to act in such particular capacity that in future date there could be the conflict of duty. So what an ideal officer needs to do, he needs to identify all such instances where could be the potential conflict of duty, and beforehand they need to avoid such kind of situation. And exactly the same thing has been done here by the judge Pratibha Singh, where she identified that as she had earlier appeared as a lawyer into the matter of WhatsApp, today she might not be 100% objective, and therefore she had recused herself from hearing this WhatsApp case. Guys, please do utilize this particular reference into your GS paper number 4 into the topics of administrative ethics. So, guys, that is all about this particular matter. I hope that you have understood it, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Business Standard as well as the Mint newspaper, and it is a very good article for our GS paper number 1. That is the geographical events as well as into the GS paper number 3 under the ecology and environment. So, guys, when we see recently a report has been compiled by the World Meteorological Organization, and according to it, the year 2020 has recorded the one of the highest temperatures onto the record. And this particular thing becomes even more important because if you know, then virtually the entire world was into the lockdown for a substantial period of time due to the pandemic of the COVID-19, and because of that there was the huge emission cut which happened. But guys, even due to that emission cut also, the temperature did not reduced, and it is a testimony to the fact that the CO2 concentration has now stabilized into the environment, and now the world has went into a warming track where it is now not getting influenced by the today's event, rather into the past the events are driving the global warming. Now, guys, this particular thing that 2020 is one amongst the hottest year is also problematic because of a factor that this particular year the La Nina was expected to make a landfall, and now, guys, and as the La Nina year comes, there were the temperatures which get reduced, but even the La Nina did not become successful to bring down the global temperature. Now, guys, if we see, then it has been found that the average global temperature in 2020 was 14.9 degrees Celsius, which is 1.2 degrees Celsius above the 1850 to 900, that is the pre-industrial level. Now, guys, if you remember, into the 2015 Paris climate pledge that was taken, we aimed to reduce the temperature to 1.5 degree, but already, guys, 1.2 degree Celsius rise has been registered. So whether we will be fulfilling the Paris climate pledge, it is a kind of a very big question mark. Now, guys, it has been said that the 2011 to 2020 was the warmest decade on the record, and the 7 warmest year since the records are being kept, it is from the 2014. So 2014 to 2020 we are seeing the warmest years into the consequence. And further, it has been provided that there is a very big chance that even by 2024 we will breach the limit that was to be kept, that is the maximum rise 1.5 degree could happen, and this limit we can breach by 2024. Now, guys, it is not only one isolated event, but the kind of spillover effects are also being seen onto the ocean. Now, guys, you might be knowing that whatever excess heat is generated, then that heat up to the tune of 90% is absorbed by the ocean. So what has happened, guys, today? The ocean's temperature has increased, and the propensity to the man-made climate change has increased very rapidly, guys. Since 1970 this trend is going on. Now it will be leading to the extreme ocean induced climate event. What are the ocean induced climate event, guys? There will be stronger tropical storms, there will be the marine heat waves that will be originating, coral bleaching, fish stock will dwindle down because the acidity level will increase as the heat will be increasing. After that, guys, there will also be a huge impact that already we have seen. You might be knowing that in 2020 there were the deadly cyclones also which India saw, that is the Amphan, Nisarga, etc. Now the question comes that why these cyclones are increasing, particularly in last 5 6 years. It is nothing but an extreme ocean induced climate event that is happening. Now, guys, it has been said that there was record 29 tropical hurricanes into the Atlantic Ocean, and in around India also we have seen such kind of oceans. So they are direct an outcome of the climate change event. And guys, right now there is a major concern into the entire world which is going on, that is the great bleaching event which is happening into the Great Barrier Reef. Now why this is again the climate increase, and such kind of bleaching in India can also happen, particularly into the Gulf of Mannar, into the Bay of Bengal, as the ocean's temperature rise impact will soon be reaching around the India also. And guys, again, here also the same concern has been raised that the 2020 was the year of the La Nina, which is called as the cooling event. But even after that, also the temperature consistently increased. And here you can see that an observation has been made after analyzing the long-term data that the northern Indian Ocean, which comprises the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, it has started to see a temperature rise because of the heat which is coming from the Pacific Ocean. So, guys, basically this is all the impact that we are seeing onto the ocean due to the climate change and temperature rise. Guys, this particular article can serve as a ready-made answer for your GS paper number 1 as well as your GS paper number 3. Please keep it in your mind, all the facts, please note it down. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and it talks about the extension of the ban onto the TRP. Guys, this particular attachment is important for our GS paper number 4 under the topics of the applied ethics, where we talks about the media ethics or the journalistic ethics. Now, how we will be using it? See, you might be knowing that into the month of October, the Mumbai police, they busted that a scam is going on into the TRP, that is the television rating points. So it was alleged that some of the news channels deliberately they are rigging up the TRPs. Now, guys, TRP is basically calculated by seeing the barometer that are installed onto some of the TVs. Now, guys, into our country there are 44,000 televisions which are fitted with the barometer devices. Now, as the people will be seeing the different channels onto them, it will be identified that what is the trend pattern over the viewership, and onto that particular basis different channels, different broadcast programs were be given the TRPs. Now, guys, it was said that these 44,000 households which have been selected, they are known to the new broadcasters, TV channels, and they are bribing these people to see a particular channel or a particular program at a particular time. And into this particular thing, the TRP ratings are not representative of the true viewer's choice. Now, guys, majorly under the TRP scandal, as the news channels were busted, it points to the lack of media ethics or the journalistic ethics into the news agencies. It can be seen that how they have shown a greed into their conduct by rigging the TRPs, and wrongfully they want to take the advertising revenue. Moreover, guys, you might also be knowing that today's news channel, they are spreading the toxic content and a kind of a hatred mongering, as well as the yellow journalism is trying to be depicted onto these news channels. And even after that, they are attracting huge advertisement. How? By distorting the TRPs. So basically, it is a kind of a breach of the solemn trust or the breach of the confidence that a viewer is endorsing into these medias. Now, guys, as this TRP scam was busted, the BARC, that is the Broadcast Audience Research Council, which manages entire this TRP calculation, it releases the report. It has suspended the TRP calculation for the 12 weeks time, and now for further 3 months, again this TRP has been suspended, and now they are looking forward for some reforms into the calculation of the TRP. A, they are looking forward that how the from the 44,000 TVs which have been fitted with the barometer devices, they could be increased to 50,000. But guys, even after this particular thing, we can see that there will still be instances, and actually the bark is resorting to a very ancient kind of technology. So this particular suggestion might not be very much good. However guys, there could be another reforms also into the TRP calculation, that is using the tech solutions. Guys, today if we see many of the TV sets, they have already been fitted with the set top boxes, and actually on by these set top boxes, much of the information about the behavior of viewers can be ascertained, and on to that particular basis the TRP should be calculated. Guys, even this particular thing has also been provided by the four-member committee appointed by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. This committee provided that there is a need to include the greater transparency into the rating system, and it had also said that the technological solutions that capture the diversity and scale of viewership in India, they are needed. So guys, today there are the question could be asked that what are the reforms. So reforms, we can utilize that, bring the greater transparency, extrapolation, statistical tools need to be streamlined. Moreover guys, you can provide that via the set top boxes the information can be collected. After that, we can also provide that the number of barometer devices could be enhanced. But guys, the grand conclusion that will be staying is that at the end of the day, the media houses and particularly the news, they need to take up the plunge of bringing more transparency, and the media ethics will needed to be followed by them. So guys, this is all into this particular direction, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, here we can see a brief update. This article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. It talks about the largest vaccination program into the world that is going to start. That is the vaccination program for the COVID-19 shots. Now, guys, the Prime Minister will be launching the program, and on the very first day, 3 lakh people will be given the vaccine jabs. There will be more than 3,000 sessions which will be held across all the states and union territory, and more than 3 lakh people will be vaccinated here. Guys, here it has been provided that who will be allowed or permitted. These are the people with history of COVID-19 infection, history of other chronic diseases, people who are having the immunodeficiency, as well as the frontline health workers, the people above the age of 50, they will be given the shot. However, there are some people who will not be vaccinated. That is the people below the age of 18 years, pregnant and lactating women, and people with a history of allergic reaction to COVID-19 vaccine. Now guys, it right now, you might be knowing that there is also one web portal, that is the Covin, which has been established, by which the people on which people can register themselves, and it is facilitating the vaccine administration. Along with it guys, there is also the issue that was coming, that government made this thing very clear that they will not be giving the choice to the people with respect to the type of vaccine that they want to take. So there were two vaccines, that is the Covishield vaccine, which was developed by the Serum Institute of India, and the Covaxin, which was developed by the Bharat Biotech. So people were not having a choice. It has been said that into the later stages, we will be making sure that how they can be given a choice. However, guys, along with it, you also need to be keep in your mind the trend, that is the vaccine hesitancy that is going on. Then, guys, there were the issues with respect to the transparency of the data and all such kind of things. Guys, I will recommend that please don't follow this particular news very much rigorously, because over the period of days, as the people will be receiving the vaccine, there will be large number of things which will be going to be happening. So guys, it is a very much evolving kind of topic, and basically UPSC asks a majority things onto the trends. So not needed to go too much into the detail. So guys, that's all about this particular article. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and we will be utilizing a reference from here into the topic of GS paper number 1 under the topic of the urbanization and its problems. So, guys, what is an urbanization? It is simply a phenomena which is characterized by three trends. A, there is the physical movement of people from the rural areas to the urban areas. B, it also entails the change not only in terms of the physical location, but there is a change with respect to the consumption patterns, with respect to the lifestyle choices, with respect to new value system that the people entail. And C, the urbanization is a phenomena which is correlated to the development of a particular nation also. It has been seen that the countries which are more developing, there is high number of urbanization. However, the countries which has developed, their urbanization stabilizes, and the countries which are underdeveloped, their urbanization is not a very recurrent phenomena. So it is correlated with the level of development. Now, whenever the urbanization increases, guys, it with it many problems come. It has been there into US, it has been there into the UK, and now as India is seeing the boom of the urbanization, the India is also facing such problems. And one such problem with the urbanization is the housing poverty that the people faces. And the housing poverty means that as more and more people are coming, the real estate prices increase to such a level that many people live into the rented accommodation without any security of their living. And such kind of thing has been seen into the capital of India, Delhi also, where 34% of families are into the capital, they are living into the rented houses. Now such a report has been, or such data has been published by the socio-economic profile of residents of Delhi report. So you can use such kind of data, guys, into the urbanization related questions. Now one more thing here is that, guys, there are some other data also. For example, how many of the people are having car, all such kind of things. So such hairline data, although it is not required, though major trends we need to see. So guys, just that's one particular thing we can use here. So guys, that's it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, today, as you know, today is Saturday. So on Saturday, there is on the editorial section, Ground Zero report comes into the Hindu, which is usually not relevant for the UPSC exam. Today also, the Ground Zero report onto the Badaun rape case had happened. So not important, guys. However, these two articles, this article is talking about the Special Marriage Act, into which an amendment has been carried, as how now under the section number 5, it is not mandatory to give a 30-day notice, and that notice needs to be publicized. That thing is not there. It has been done away. Guys, already we have taken this entire issue when this article came into the Indian Express newspaper, as well as yesterday also I shared one of the infographic on this particular article also. So onto that capacity, nothing new into this article. Then, guys, this article is talking about the second impeachment of the Donald Trump. Now onto the impeachment comparison of the Indian and American president's impeachment. Already I have taken into the yesterday's newspaper analysis, so guys, you can see it there. So essentially nothing new into the editorial section. So guys, now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article is a brief update with respect to the recent relief package that has been released by the USA. The new president-elect Joe Biden has promised to unveil a $1.9 trillion relief package, which has been called as the American Rescue Plan. Now, guys, as a part of this American Rescue Plan, it has been promised that the $1,400 transfers will be given to the citizens. Earlier, also, the $600 transfers were given. So, it will be making the transfers up to the tune of $2,000. Now, guys, what this transfer signifies? It signifies the pumping of money into the economy by an aim to increase the aggregate demand of an economy, so that that demand pushes the supply. And when the demand as well as supply will be high, the economy will be pulled out of the recession, which now it had entered due to the pandemic of the COVID-19. Moreover, guys, by this particular relief package, it has also been aimed that at least 100 million vaccinations will be completed by the 100th day of the Joe Biden administration. Moreover, this rescue plan also contains the provisions with respect to the moratorium onto the evictions, foreclosures, as well as it has also been provided that the minimum wage also needs to be enhanced, and paid leave for the workers, tax credits, and all such kind of things are being done. So guys, this is an example of the easy fiscal policy that the government is following. Now India also into this particular direction came out with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was supposed to be a 20 lakh crore rupees of fiscal package. However, guys, at the end of the day, when the plan was announced by the government, it was nothing but the carry forward of the earlier ongoing policies, and many long term reforms were promised, and actual benefit that flew to the economy was just 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh crore rupees. So guys, India should also learn from the liberal fiscal packages that are being given by the countries such as US, and are proportionate to own government security. We need to further rethink our fiscal package if seriously we want to bring our economy back from the contraction. So guys, that is all into this particular direction. And now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article talks about the recent situation of trade with the China. Now it has been provided that, guys, because of the anti-Chinese sentiments which were there, moreover, guys, due to the active policies of the government also, we have restricted the trade with the China, particularly the import, and the deficit is right now at the 5-year low. Moreover, guys, the China in turn has increased the export from India, and particularly it is because the recent housing boom that is being pushed, or infrastructure boom that is being pushed into the China, and China is consuming more and more iron ore, and because of the iron ores import towards the China, the export position of India has been improved, and 16% jump into the export has been seen. Here you can see how the deficit is progressively coming down, and guys, moreover, the export has progressively been increased. Now you actually don't need to go too much into the nitty gritties of such kind of data, as the data is very much volatile and it will be changing. However, guys, you just need to keep the factors which had facilitated the export, that is the appetite for the iron ore, which is being driven by the China's emphasis on developing the infrastructure into the Chinese economy. Moreover, guys, that is also the fact that only in 2020 China was the major economy which show a positive growth rate. So, guys, China's appetite for the iron ore and such capital goods will be increasing even into the 2021. That could be an estimate that we can make out of it. So, guys, that is all. Don't go too much into the data and numbers that has been given into this particular article, as they are highly volatile and will be changing by the time you will be writing your exam. So, guys, that is all about the today's articles. Friends, I hope that you are liking our initiative, and the articles that we are taking up into our newspaper discussion, you are finding them fruitful towards your UPSC preparation. Guys, please do like the video and please do comment if it is fruitful to you. So, guys, that's it. Thank you so much.